So welcome to the tabletop review of the all-new 2018 Abu Garcia Revo Stx. I'll let you guys take a good look at this reel. As you can see, the main change is it's the brand new Generation 4 body, and it's retained the silver side plates and the black frame, but they are now a matte finish. And I'm not sure what the previous one was because I never had one. I don't know if you can tell, but this is silver. Now the matte finish feels okay, but it's not nearly as smooth or nice as the one on the Shimano CURADO K. So this is basically the same body as the younger sibling, the Revo X. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go over what's the same as the previous model, and then I'm going to go over all the changes that I noted on this new model. So the first thing that's the same is the aluminum frame, which they call X2 Craftic alloy, which they claim is some kind of proprietary alloy. I'm not sure about that, but whatever. It's still got the D2 gear design, which basically is a huge main gear to give you more power, and they say it also improves durability. It's still got 11 ball bearings. So that's 10 stainless steel ball bearings. I'm not sure if it's the corrosion resistant ones or not, it doesn't say. And of course one roller bearing. And it's got a titanium coated line guide to prevent wear on the line guide. Okay, so now that we've got the similarities out of the way, let's go over the changes. Now one big change is that the handle side plate now is made of aluminum instead of what they call their C6 carbon, which is something that's similar to Shimano CI4 Plus and DAIWA Zion. Now the palming side plate remains the C6 carbon. And one thing they did was they changed the main gear from aluminum to the brass Duragear. At least that's what their name for it is. And because of that, the weight went up from 6.4 ounces to 7 ounces, according to the specs on Tackle Warehouse's site. Now another change was that if you want to make internal brake adjustments or access the spool, now attached to the frame, which is good. It's like the CURADO. It doesn't come all the way off, so there's no chance of you dropping it in the water. It's called the Gull Wing design. And they've added something called EverSlick. Now I looked up what EverSlick was, and it's some kind of a corrosion resistant coating, and they've added that to the pinion shaft and pawl. So this would be a good reel, I guess, for inshore anglers or guys who fish in salt water sometimes. Now, of course, the brakes, I believe, have 28 settings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 28 settings total on the outside. Now notice I said on the outside. Now the handle length went up from 80 millimeters to 90. It's got the new thumb bar clutch. They call it Dura Clutch. And that was one of the main complaints of the previous Gen 3s was the clutch. The clutch action was heavy. it was rough and a lot of them failed altogether, which was what I experienced. I actually experienced all three of those. So the new design is supposed to be better, and it does feel pretty nice. Now, one big thing they did change as well was the drag. Now, instead of having the regular carbon matrix drag system, they have an upgraded version called the Power Stack carbon matrix drag. Basically what that is the drag washers. There's about 3 or 4 of them inside that are a mix of, I guess, metal and carbon, but they're keyed now. And that's supposed to give 20% more drag force, or up to 24 pounds, they say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the illustration they gave in Abu Garcia's instruction manual here, which is pretty nice. Okay, so in the center is the regular carbon matrix drag, which is rated up to 20 pounds, and that's what the Revo X has. Now the Power Stack carbon matrix, as you can see, it's a key design, at least on the carbon drag washers. And I guess there's a drag washer in here that gives you more stopping power, more surface area. It says 20% increase. Okay, now the biggest change for me, and it's what prompted me to buy this reel, is the brand new centrifugal braking system. Now it's not all brand new, but there's a feature that made it brand new enough for me to want to buy this reel and try it out. It's the IVCB6L. Now the L stands for, I'm assuming, locking, and I'll show you what I mean. So on the previous IVCB system, which stands for infinitely variable centrifugal brakes, these brake arms, they would all fly out, all 6. Now with the new system, you can actually lock them in place. So let's say you only wanted 3 brakes to be activated inside. You would just unlock 3, there we go. So only 3 of them, when the spool spins, only 3 of them will fly out. And that gives you more control. And of course, they fly out and rub against this metal ring here that goes in and out. So you can make the fine-tune adjustments. Now this is very similar to Shimano's SVS Infinity. So that's why I wanted to try this out. I wanted to pit this against Shimano's SVS Infinity system. Now the one drawback is it's very hard to unlock these brakes. And the way you lock the brakes into the spool is, if you can tell, on the very edge there, there's this white tab, and you just pop it down. And the white tab is supposed to keep them in place. Now, they feel very fragile. So when I'm popping them back out, I feel like I'm gonna break these shoes off. Hopefully not. I guess you just pull out and up. But yeah, it's very fragile. I wish they would have made a better design on that. But yeah, so that's the brand new braking system, which has me intrigued. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna weigh the spool and the reel. Okay, so we have the measuring devices out, and let's get a weight on this thing. Now Tackle Warehouse once again stated it weighs 7 ounces. Now I couldn't find any information about that on the Abu Garcia website. Okay, so it's actually a bit heavier than 7 ounces at 7.3. Let's reweigh that just to make sure. Yep, 7.3 ounces. Now that's almost an ounce more than the previous model. But that's not a bad weight at all. It feels solid. And that weight comes from the longer handle, the aluminum side plate, and the brass gear. So all these improvements added about an ounce of weight. But 7.3 is not heavy reel at all. It's still lighter than the CURADO K. It's about the same weight as the TATULA CT Type R. So let's go ahead and get a weight on that spool. Now, I couldn't find information on Abu Garcia's website on the weight. Now, I do know the previous spool was weighed by Tackle Tour at 16 ounces. I'm sorry, 16 grams. So let's see what this new one weighs. 16.8. Now that seems heavy for this reel, but of course it has a spool bearing. So it's probably right around 16 grams, which is about the same as the new CURADO K. Of course, this spool features the short spool shaft, which Abu Garcia calls the Infini 2. There's a look at the brakes again. Now, I was shocked to see that the Revo X had a 33mm diameter spool. So let's see, this looks to be the same. Let's see what the calipers say. Yep. So apparently the new Revos have, at least these two have 33mm diameter spools, which is down from the average of 34. So I wonder how that's going to play out in long distance casting of heavy lures, but we're going to find out. Okay, so I brought these other reels out here to illustrate a conundrum that I've found with the Revo Stx. Now, the conundrum being that it retails at $199 MSRP. So it puts it in direct competition price-wise with the CURADO 70, which is a finesse-oriented reel, and the TATULA CTSV, which is, I would say, a finesse-oriented reel, but it can do pretty much everything. But with the line capacity and the specs, you know, the huge drag, it's more of a all-purpose general duty baitcaster that's supposed to do everything well. So that puts it directly in line with the cheaper CURADO K, and also $20 cheaper TATULA CT Type R. So it costs as much as the more finesse-oriented reels, but it's got the specs to compete with the more general-purpose reels that cost $20 cheaper. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out for Abu Garcia, but if you're a hardcore Revo fan, this seems like it's an upgrade over the previous model with all the new improvements, and you do get a lot for the money. In fact, when I was looking over the specifications for the brand new Premier, there's literally not much difference between the two, other than I believe the Premier has a carbon handle, aluminum gear, the side plate is C6, and it may have a lighter spool, but the braking system, the drag system, is all the same. So that Premier is about an ounce lighter, but other than that, the most important stuff, it looks like the STX is about the same as Premier at $100 cheaper. So there you go, the brand new 2018 Abu Garcia Revo Stx. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through the standardized testing system, but I may throw a 1/4 ounce plug first just to see where it stands, throwing that lure with this brand new brake system that I'm excited to test out. So hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with your friends. Share this with anyone who's looking to shop around for a brand new reel, particularly in the $200 price point, and maybe this will help them make an informed decision. Alright guys, thanks a lot.